I'm going to take this time to explain the rest of the campaign objectives and why I am almost always using the conversions campaign. To a smaller extent, I use lead generation, and very seldom I use engagement, but I seem to ignore everything else. And why should you consider doing that as well? Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on the other campaign objectives, just so you know why we always use conversions most of the time, and to a small extent even lead generation or engagement, but we pretty much ignore the rest. Okay, so let's take a look at brand awareness and reach. So if you take a look at this icon here, it says show your ads to people who are most likely to remember them, and reach sounds rather similar. Show your ads to the maximum number of people. So this is kind of like where Boost Post actually comes in. And if you have done any Facebook marketing before, or you have clicked the Boost Post button, then you know that you will get a lot of reach, perhaps for more bang for the buck. Apparently you get a lot of likes, a lot of social proof, a lot of reactions, people commenting even, but there's a problem with that. You're not getting even the interested prospects, because what's happening here is that it's just showing advertisements to people that have the habit of commenting and liking. So we don't really want that going on. Okay, so that's why I stay away from brand awareness and reach. I had pretty much not used them at all. Okay, now the next one, and this is a deception here. Okay, traffic. Send people to a destination like a website, app, Facebook event, or messenger conversation. Now when you take a look at out of all the campaign objectives here, this seems to be one of the considerations that make a lot more sense, right? But I'm just going to warn you up front, stay away from using traffic objective, okay, despite the way it sounds, because what's happening here is that you're going to get most probably a lot of clicks. So you get a low cost per click. A lot of people are clicking on your Facebook ad, and it might seem exciting initially, just like Boost Post. But the problem is that Facebook is serving your advertisement to people or Facebook users that are very click happy. That means they have a certain behavior of always clicking on things, and you might know some friends or some Facebook users that are like that. Now imagine that your advertisement is going out to people like that, and you're not going to get any purchasers or even a lead for that matter. So don't do that. It's rather deceptive. Stay away from it. Okay, I've spent quite a bit of money doing this. I do test it every now and then, and if you don't believe me, feel free to spend a little bit of your money to test this out, and you'll find that this is also the case. All right, so out of all the campaign objectives here, this is probably the most deceptive, and where a lot of people initially will lose their money. So stay away from it. Okay, always go with conversions. Now I'm just going to move down chronologically. Let's go with engagement. So this is where you can get like post engagement, page likes. All right, so if you're ever buying likes, this is normally what the campaign objective is. Now I'm not against people buying page likes, especially if you're just starting out. You clearly do not want to have an empty Facebook page with just like 0 to 1 like. And if you're not able to get some of your friends or acquaintances to come and like a page, but you want to look a little bit more credible, then it's okay to buy a bit of likes. But again, I don't recommend that you spend a lot of budget buying page likes, because that's not where the income is going to come from. That's not where the action is going to be at. All right, so if you're going to buy page likes, you can go ahead. I'm just saying, don't spend a lot of money doing that. Okay, spend most of your budget on conversions. All right, so next up, we go to app installs. Okay, this is not applicable unless you're doing apps. Oh, let me just backtrack a little bit. Okay, there's this thing called post engagement, where you get like people sharing and commenting and all that. Now again, this is like probably my third distant campaign objective. But if you're running a restaurant and you're doing promotions, then doing an engagement post would make a lot of sense. So for example, if you're running an F&B or a restaurant and you're doing maybe like a buy one free one meal promo, 50% off, visit at lunch hour, like 12 to 3 p.m, you're going to get a very good deal at our restaurant. Then okay, it makes sense using an engagement, because people here have this behavior of sharing good deals. So it kind of makes sense to use engagement for F&B and restaurants or something like that. Okay, so app installs only if you're having apps. Video views. Now some people do run campaign objectives for video views. So if you're expecting to run viral videos and you want it to get seen as much as possible and have people share them, then it's okay. But I just want you to know that even I don't really use this. So if you're playing on a limited budget, I do discourage that you use video views, all right? Now, next up, lead generation. Now, lead generation is a campaign objective you can choose if you want to get people signing up to a form without having a website. So this works especially for businesses that are straightforward, such as car wash, dentistry, aesthetics, insurance, financial planning, and so on. So it's quite straightforward in that when people click on your Facebook ad, there'll be a form that pops up, and this can also appear on Instagram. You don't need a website for this, and all people have to do is just leave their name, email, phone number, or any details that you ask, and the details will be submitted to your Facebook page, all right? And that's where you do your own follow-up calls from there. So this works especially if you are expecting to meet up in person, or you're expecting to do phone calls, or calling up the prospect. Then lead generation will make a lot of sense, all right? So this is like my distant second campaign objective. And messages, all right. If you want to have people message you directly on Messenger, then you can select messages as well. But I would say that this is probably one of my least favorite campaign objectives as well, because it's a lot of work. You're expecting to write to a lot of people, unless you're doing quite some fact finding, and then that's okay, all right? But one of the pros is that you don't really need a website for this. But with that said, conversions is really where the action is at. I would say that almost all the time, like 80, 90, or even 100% of the time, you'll be using campaign objective, and that's what I teach in my training, okay? So I've already covered that in greater detail in other videos already, so this needs no going through anymore. And followed by catalog sales and store traffic. So catalog sales only makes sense if you are having a catalog on your Facebook page, and store traffic if you are running Facebook ads to e-commerce. But then again, you should still be using conversions. So that is what all these campaign objectives are in a nutshell. I've already explained to you what they're all about, and now you know why we always go with conversions, and we pretty much don't quite care about the rest, only to a small extent lead generation, and to a smaller extent engagement, okay? So yeah, that's really all there is to it.